Now we are the declarations and the 21st points for the 21 points for the 21st century. We will discuss that. It will have just 10 minutes to be presented, and then 5 minutes for the declarations, you know, about biodiversity and so on. So Juan Behrend is the first on the stage, and he has got 10 minutes to just make a presentation. You know, you will work in workshops, you will put questions tomorrow, and so on. So this is a presentation. You stay there, and the other ones can come up as well. Thank you. Welcome, Juan.
So slowly we are entering in the more congressional aspect of our meeting. So we will have now the presentation of the declarations. In principle, you should be able to find this declaration printed downstairs in the registration place. And you will get at the end of these explanations of the declarations an explanation of the procedures, both for the declarations, the resolutions, and the Congress. So my task here is just to say some words about the 21 points. I hope everybody had the opportunity to look at this rather long text. And the aim of this text is to make a step further from the wonderful Charter of Canberra we adopted some years ago. And I think the Charter of Canberra is still an inspiring document for the Greens all over the world, and particularly is an inspiring document for emerging new Green parties in a lot of parts of our planet. Now I think that the time has come in this second Global Green Congress to try to deepen our political debates, our political agreements, and orient also our efforts not just to develop political agreements, but also to come to agreements on political action, on common political strategies. This is the aim of these 21 points. I'm not sure that we have been able to comply with this aim, but the document is there, and you will have the possibility to make all the amendments and changes you wish to do. Let me go very quickly through. You know, the first point is a basic point concerning, I don't go on the problems because you have been speaking this morning about all the implications and consequences of climate change. The first point is a list of measures, minimal measures, we think that have to be adopted as quickly as possible to change the way the economy is working and functioning. We are convinced that the present economic model, the present way the markets function, is in contradiction with the environment, is in contradiction with the geoplanetary limits, and is destroying the environment for the coming generations. Therefore, there is a series of measures proposed there to improve this, to regulate the markets. Please look at that, and if you can come with more concrete proposals, it would be welcome. Maybe also we have to see to create a kind of instance to discuss at the global level among us more in depthness the economic aspects of our policies. The second point is a...
You can put it here so we can see the time.
Sorry. The second point, I don't need to say too much. It's just, I think it's concerning to promote a radical reduction of the CO2 emissions. You will be voting, you will get explanation in some minutes on the declaration, so-called post-Kyoto declaration. I think that the only thing we have to do here in the second point is to make a synthesis, to make a summary of the declaration we will adopt also on Sunday on the post-Kyoto thing. So we don't need a specific discussion about this in the frame of the 21 points. The third point is water management. The key issue here is that for us Greens, water and access to water is a human right. Water is not a commercial good as any other commercial good. Water is a right, it's a subsistence basic right for everybody, and a basic amount of water is needed for everybody, and therefore it's a human right for everybody. This has to be assured by all the states, and this has to be assured in the frame of the international treaties. This is the main message of this chapter. Please look at it. For sure there can be made improvements. There are other aspects considered there. I think you can have the time to look at it. The fourth point, and this is for me probably the most complex points of these 21 points, is the problem of the price explosion of food. We are assisting on, how you can call that, riots for food. In the meantime, on more than 20 countries around the world. Even in Italy, we had some rallies because the prices of the food became so expensive. The pasta has been becoming too expensive for the Italian people. But this is more a problem in reality for the poorer countries. We have seen today here in Sao Paulo, or in Brazil, I think, the public transport, etc., is being increased by 8%. And so we are seeing an inflation of the price of the basic goods, and among them, the main question is food. But the problem is the following. The developed countries are spending, each family is spending around, let's say, between 11 and 15% of their income for food, while in the third world and in developing countries, this can amount until 60, 70%. So this is a key question for us Greens. How we explain this, and which kind of measures we adopt for that. So there are some proposals in this part of the text. Please look at it. One of them is, of course, and this is a tricky discussion, is to reduce the production of agrofuels, corns, or agrofuels, in order to have more land for crops, for food crops. But even mainly we have to think about the necessity to destinate more land to produce food crops than to produce meat and cattle, including because of the impact this has on, for instance, and it was mentioned before, on the Amazonia. But please look at this. I think this is a hot issue, and it would be very good if we can come out of this Congress with a certain agreement on this point. The next point is the respect of biodiversity. Here again, we have a relative, in our area here, an easy task, because there will be a resolution, and Margaret Bakers will explain it in some minutes. There is a resolution on biodiversity, so again, I think, as the same as with the post-Kyoto resolution, declaration, we can make a summary, a synthesis of what you will be deciding on biodiversity in this frame and include it in the 21 points. The next point is the Millennium Goals. It has been said yesterday, I think, if I listened well, by Ulrike Lunacek from the European Greens. I think we Greens should be a watchdog controlling that the promises of international community are complied. And I think we have to be unanimous in making pressure on our governments, particularly those who, as we Europeans are coming from the developed countries, on our governments to fulfill the promises on the 0.7% for international development aid, etc., etc. I think this is a key issue we have to reinforce and make a common effort at the global level to push this at the national level and at the global level. I think here we have to look also at the financial aspects linked to that, and there we are immediately in the next point. That is the necessity to develop the Tobin tax. I suppose everybody is familiarized with this tax about the financial speculative transactions at the global level. I think it would be a very good thing if we can make steps further in this and press our governments and press at the global level in order that this tax is installed and in order that this tax produce what is calculated by the scientists around between 100 and 300 billion billion. Sorry. Well, a big amount of money which would be extremely helpful to finance the Millennium Goals and other developing aspects, and also to mitigate the impact of the climate change. Then we have a little chapter on fair trade. I think this is a commitment of the Greens. We already have mentioned this in Canberra in our charter, but I think we have to develop this. We need mechanisms at the global level and at the regional levels to make that the fair trade can develop, is accepted, and is fulfilled also by the national governments when it comes to buying for official procurements, that the fair trade should be respected. I accelerate because I see the time. Yes, there's a chapter on technological progress. I think for us the basic question is, and it was mentioned this morning also, that we are not against technological progress, but we all submit technological progress to the precautionary principle and to ethic principles we have been trying to respect all over our policies. I think that's the big problem in the technological progress. We wish that the progress is seen as environmental, compatible, socially friendly, and in reality a progress not just for one enterprise, but a progress for the large amount of people in the world.
Okay. Your time is out.
Okay.
Juan?
Well, then it's a point of raw materials and price. I don't go into this. You can read at that. And if a more concrete proposal will be very good. Strengthen democracy. I think this is a key question for the environmentalists all over the world, and for the Greens in first place. There's a big risk, and we have been listening to an explanation about some militaristic approach to controlling the resources. The only way we have that this participative model is developed globally is reinforcing democracy. And we Greens should be the pioneers, the avant-garde, fighting for democracy all over the world, and being the guarants that the citizens have an access and a possibility to participate in the power structures.
Thank you, Juan. That is a very good finish, because we have to go on. We have to go on. Renate must come now after Kyoto, because otherwise we can't fix this with the food and everything. Sorry? So please, conclude.
Okay, conclude. Well.
I'm hard.
Okay, you're extremely hard. So, well, you will have this text. You can read at it. Please look at it. I know there will be a lot of discussions, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
I think we should have these discussions. Yeah. I think the maturing of the global Greens, one of the main paths to grow up as global Greens is having these political discussions among us, trying to come to a consensus, and I'm confident that on Sunday we will have a general consensus on the 21 points, maybe modified in this or the other way. So let's have these discussions, let's have the workshops this afternoon, and let's have the vote on Sunday. And
thank you.